Hello, welcome to the video on the historical character paper. I just want to give you a few nuts and bolts to enable you to get started on this assignment. The first thing is that you're to write a 1,000 to 1,200 word paper on one of the topics that are listed here in the assignment. You can see it below this video by just clicking on the link to it, and there are several different topics for you to choose from. So once you choose this topic, what you're to write about is his or her contributions to the United States. What did she or he do that made the United States better or worse? Okay, that's the main part of the paper. Now, there's some other subparts that are almost as important, and so let's get into that. The first thing you need to do is develop you a thesis, and so that should be based upon answering the question, what was the contributions of your character to American history? Okay, now as you build your thesis, keep in mind one of the other things that you need to consider is, what is historical thought on your character? In other words, what do other historians have to say about your character? Okay, so you're going to need to do some research and find out some well-known historians on your character. Look online, look in the book, that sort of thing, and find out their viewpoints. And I want both the positive and the negative. So you should have, some examples on both sides. Okay, and so as you begin to find out what it is that your character did that contributed to the United States, then you need to find historical thought on those things and then talk about in those paragraphs what historians have to say, both positive and negative. And then you need to give your own insight into the viewpoint of the historians. Do you agree with them? Yes or no? Now, I want you to do that succinctly. I want you to do it in an academic and professional way, as if you were reading a professional textbook or something along that sorts. Okay, so that's the main content that I'm looking for. Now, one other thing that I do want to say, backing up just a little bit on content, I want to see in your paper where you have looked at primary source material. As you're talking about the contributions of we'll say a George Washington, then I want to see where you looked at his diary, or you looked at a government document that he wrote or that somebody else wrote about him, or a law he was involved in, or a map that talks about his role in a battle. And then I want to see you interpret that. If you're talking about a diary entry from George Washington where he said, I was tremendously scared today when I almost got shot. Well, you need to interpret that. How did that impact his decision to retreat? And that's a crude example, but you get the point. Should you run into problems, don't forget that there is a link at the beginning of this module on projects that talks about the primary sources and how to use those. It's titled, Read This First. Primary source explanation. So look at that, okay? All right, so that's the content. So you want to get your thesis done. I would recommend you must have an introductory paragraph. In that introductory paragraph, your thesis must be included inside of that and underlined. Okay, so make sure you underline that or you'll lose 5 points. Okay. Also, make sure that all of your paragraphs are 6 to 10 sentences. Okay. I would have 3 good body paragraphs. And again, make sure in those body paragraphs you talk about contributions of your character to the United States, historical thought on those contributions, both positive and negative, and include primary source material. Okay, so 3 body paragraphs. Each of those body paragraphs should have a topic sentence telling me where you're going. And those topic sentences should relate back to the thesis, okay? And of course, all of the sentences in that paragraph should relate back to the topic sentence, okay? And then you need to have a conclusion, which basically wraps up your paper. You don't want to introduce new material here, but you want to conclude in a fresh, intriguing manner that will want me to look into more of what you've said, okay? All right. Now, let's talk a little bit about citations. You must have a bibliography page, okay? On that bibliography page, you must have 4 sources. One of those sources must be a primary source, okay? And it must be done according to Chicago style. I've put a link in this assignment that links out to the citation machine. So make sure you do that. There's also a link in the exam reviews and tools module that shows you how to do footnotes and the bibliography. So look at that, okay? Your bibliography page, 4 sources listed down the page, alphabetical order, okay? Now, footnotes are completely different than the bibliography. They go at the what you need to do is they go in your actual paper. And again, I'm not going to go into all the detail, but you can look at the link on footnotes and bibliography, and it will explain how to do this, okay? Also, be sure to read all of the information below this video. Do not assume that this video talks about everything that I'm expecting. This is a general overview. If you'll look below this video, it will tell you the 3 occasions when you must use a footnote. So be sure and look at those, okay? Because I will be grading you on that. Additionally, at the very end of this page is something called basically other things you could lose points for. So make sure you look at that. Things like not having your thesis underlined, not double spacing. Those will cost you a significant amount of points and could be the difference in a letter grade. So make sure you look at all of this, okay? So that's a general overview. I hope that it's helped. If you have any questions, let me know, and let me know that you saw this video. You guys have a great day.